Retreat, stay.
Stay, I think. My position is really good. I have Widow Mines. I have 2 tanks. He doesn't have a 4th base, so I think my game plan will be kill the Reaper wall for free and just back off until ghosts are out or something.
Legit. Let's see what happens.
I'm betting, as Terran, it can be so frustrating playing against Toss's Robo units. Just one disruptor ball and...
Pulling around Hero Rain. Next, go for engagement. Hero Rain not moving. Massive connections from Harstem and the army.
So how do you stop it? Ghosts, libs. Welcome to Ranked, the show where we go deeper into the meta to get the insights you need to win your next match. And on this episode, I'm talking to Terran Pro Kelazor, aka Kela God. And originally this episode was going to be about dealing with Colossus, but you'll see from this conversation, we branch out to cover compositions with all the Robo units. And so by the time you're done, you know how he deals with this kind of TVP.
What is sort of your general approach when you're coming against a Protoss that you know is about to make a death ball filled with Colossus?
So I would say that a person who saying someone builds Colossus is a very broad term, right? It's
absolutely.
a very broad approach. Like are they going Phoenix Colossus? Are they going Blink into Colossus? Are they going Robo first? And these are all things that you have to take into account into how you react against it. Yeah, it really depends. In general, if you just want to be safe against that type of style, someone who likes to go to up to 2-3 Colossus and then stay on the map, maybe try to do a push. That's generally just it's a good time for you to play tanks. You can either play 2 or maybe even 3 tanks and then you swap into Widow Mines, or you go straight into Widow Mines.
Yep.
Or you just stay on tanks the whole game, which I think would be ideal against that kind of thing. And it's actually the style that I kind of adopted in Home Story Cup. Basically played tank style almost every single game, and it worked out pretty well.
You wanted to go a little bit broad in the kind of terming, and then we'll focus down because you faced a lot of different versions in these different 3 games we were going to, different compositions, and I think we'll kind of get a different perspective of your style going into it. So why don't we jump into the first game with you on Data C. Okay, so this is you against Haas on Data C. Now it's probably gonna take a second, like you said, to kind of get into it, but this is game 1. This is game 1 against you against Haas. What do you remember about playing against Haas?
I remember that he had just played another Terran, and I looked through his VODs, and because of that, I knew exactly what to expect when I played against him. I think he played against Beyond right before me, and he actually should have won against Beyond. And I was like, okay, so he's just gonna play this style. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I think it was something like double forge, gateway units into like Colossus or something like that.
Yeah. In this game, and others will see it too, is that he does exorbitant amount of zealots.
So not knowing that he was gonna do this actually helped a lot. I think I almost still ended up dying to it, which shows how strong it is. But
since you knew ahead, what was your game planning here? Like, what was your initial game plan? Like, when you thought about countering it, what is it? How did you decide that you were going to counter it since you already knew what to expect?
I think what I remember is the gist of it was that I basically just would never move out. All I had to do was defend and survive until I get to either a very healthy army size or until ghosts are out. So yeah, basically just play passive but not too afraid. I knew that I could play something aggressive in the early game because he plays really greedy Nexus timing.
Okay.
So I think I opted for Widow Mine with 6 Marine drop, and then after that just pretty standard 3 racks into 3cc.
What are some of the weak points of going against this for you, you think?
Yeah, so obviously the first thing that could go wrong is somehow you lose your medevac. That would be disastrous. That's why I opted to go back. And I think once I see that there's charge instead of blink, I was like, okay, he's doing exactly what I thought he was going to do, so I can send the medevac out again.
Were you initially going for the base in there? Because I noticed you stopped at the 3rd, and then were you originally going to the main, and then you changed when you saw it was...
Yeah, I was going to the main, until I saw the stalkers in position. And then in general, if the guy doesn't have blink, which I saw that he didn't with the charge, right?
Yeah.
Then you just do something like a multi-prong harass.
Which you're doing here with the Raven.
Yeah. Because that's the main thing. If there are no Phoenixes and no Blink, that's basically your green light to do as much harass as possible.
And so the objective is you're going to have to be aggressive. What are you trying to stop the Protoss? Like, you should do as much damage as possible. Is there anything that you're going to be working on to make sure that Protoss doesn't get to?
Honestly, you just don't want to let him get 4 bases for free, or just probe like a madman. As you can see, he's already positioning his probe to get a 4th base. If I hadn't killed 10 probes, that 4th base would probably be halfway done already.
Yeah. And so you were mentioning earlier that like some of the bigger weaknesses with Haas's game here is that he plays very greedy. And so for you, what are your main options here when he's playing greedy? Like, you're going to prevent him, you're going to do a lot of harass, but what are you doing on the macro end?
Behind, I think I just want to get my Widow Mines out if he doesn't have gases like this, because Widow Mines are extremely important against mass charge lot. And also, one thing that I probably would have changed is I would have gone for a 3rd CC before my barracks. Because of this, like, even with all the damage that I did, it still didn't feel like I was too far ahead.
Really?
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy to say, especially with how much damage I did.
You did so much damage. It seemed like you had full control of it here. And you're right, he does come in like pretty much do, and we'll see shortly he's going to do a bit of damage here, but you felt like you had a good strong sense of the control. I actually noticed you had these tanks positioned here. This is very like, I don't play Terran, but like let's pause here for a second. I noticed you have these tanks positioned here, and even in this battle, it'll actually play a sort of a big role, I think, in maintaining, especially this tank here. I don't play Terran, but this positioning is that typical, very typical, hiding behind the geyser here on the high ground. Okay.
So the idea with this is that if you're playing against charge lots, basically he only has melee units, so you just want to use terrain and infrastructure to block it as much as possible. Like, a really cool move that I could have done here even is put a depot in front of the tank.
Oh, okay. This one?
And then they will be locked in, and that just completely bugs out the zealots.
The one on the high ground, the one right behind the geyser, where would you put the depot? Just
the one behind the geyser. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of lock it in. Yeah.
In general, charge lots are very abusable, so as long as you have good infrastructure and good positioning like this, then it shouldn't be a problem to hold. I think the only issue is I got kind of caught out of position with the War Prism.
Yeah, that came in. Actually, just back it just for a second so we can see where how it came in. So it just came all the way up in here, and you sort of noticed it a little bit later.
Yeah, my unit's the wrong side. I lost one of the tanks. I unsieged the tanks to try and save it, and it didn't work. Like, in general, it just wasn't great.
So it just caught you off.
Yeah. I think even the Widow Mine shots were not amazing.
I liked how you filled that pocket. I really am a big fan. Like, just filled it in there to keep the zealots in from getting onto the tank, which 100% I feel changed the tide of the battle there.
Yeah, if I had stayed in the pocket, like, actually this might have been holdable.
Oh, instead of you came out.
Yeah, and then I came out to chase because I wasn't sure if the Warp Prism was there, if he could warp it in. Warp things in. But yeah, it was unfortunate.
Then you just try to retreat. You didn't go back to the pocket. You just full out and was like, no, the pocket wasn't holdable.
And then, but like, worst case scenario, when this happens, you can always just lift your 3rd base, because even if you're back to 2 bases, you're still not as it's still not as good for him. His tech is bad, and he doesn't have a 4th base.
You decided you're gonna back up a bit. What's the transition?
Honestly, this is personal preference. You can either go double starport, like you would lift the factory and make a starport underneath it and start building Vikings 4 at a time. But in my case, I prefer to just not transition, and instead you just split push. Colossus are actually not that Colossi are not that good when they're split from their army. They're better in a death ball. If they get like a high Colossus count, you just kind of want to split your army. So now I see that as Colossus. I just want to get a decent trade against his Colossus Zealot army. And now I kind of recognize that I have to split push, right, if I want to win.
Right.
They're also not amazing when they're attacking either. Especially because I have a tank alive still. Yeah.
Are you now? I see you put up obviously the sensor tower. Are you now sort of waiting for him to come to you? It feels like now, even though you're gonna do a split push, it feels like you are setting up for the defense.
Yeah.
Or you,
Well, I saw he was attacking, right? So
Yeah.
I needed to defend.
no, I
Focus fire the Colossus with the tank. Wasn't enough though.
yeah, I would say in my mind this felt a little weaker, but then you brought Vikings in actually.
Yeah. I mean, I had more than enough medevacs, and Vikings definitely help in this case.
Yeah.
His army is stronger than mine, so I need all firepower I can get.
And so I usually see this too. How do you feel about ghosts currently and how they stand current? Like in the middle. This is a little bit of a side, but I was curious. How do you feel about where ghosts are?
I mean, they're very good. You need them absolutely.
Absolutely.
You can. I don't think you can win a TVP past the 10-minute mark without them.
I've talked to some Terrans and they've complained that they feel like ghosts are not enough to handle TVP. EMP is not like, even though it feels like the strongest tool, especially if it's a death ball with Archons, but maybe not the clincher that some people think it is.
I think EMP is strong enough of a tool that it even ended up getting nerfed in the PTR.
Yep.
And it's definitely, I think the Ghost is definitely a lot stronger than some people give it credit for. I mean, one EMP has the potential to do like 600-700 damage instantly. So that's really a lot.
Yeah. So
like I definitely would not. I would stand no chance here without the EMPs.
I was gonna say this EMP, you got a really good EMP. Actually, I wanted to kind of go back on that and maybe slow it down a bit. Right there, look at that. I think that was a fantastic EMP.
Yeah, this fight wouldn't even have, like, there will be no contest if I didn't have EMPs here. Especially because my Viking count is so low. I need something to get the Colossus down. With 4 Vikings, I was able to kill all 3 Colossus, which definitely wouldn't be possible without EMP.
Yeah, I feel like this EMP 100% turned the battle with this. And that's why I kind of brought up the question, because I realized from a Protoss perspective, obviously we hate EMP to death. And this is here's that pocket again. Here's that pocket again. You've landed the Vikings in this pocket. It's a really such a critical spot. Oh, Disruptor. Wow. So did you feel like you had it won here? I feel like it feels like
no, not at all. I thought I had it lost here. I mean, he's on 5 bases against 3. I just lost my orbital commands, so I don't even have mules. Oh, yeah, to give a little bit of context here, it was actually because before the series, he came up to me and he said T Imba. Even though he had almost just beat Beyond.
Yeah.
So I was like, what the hell? You almost just beat Beyond and you're complaining? And he's like, yeah, T Imba. So here I gave him a reply. Gave him a piece of my mind.
I like the silent treatment from him, where it's just like, probably still like, yeah, still Imba. But
yeah. I mean, the thing that's keeping me in this game is the fact that he never took extra gases, right? I mean, he has a very healthy work account, but it's all just pure minerals.
Yep.
So all I need is a good EMP on the Zealots and a couple nice Widowmine shots.
No, I didn't see if you scanned. Did you know that he wasn't taking gases, or is that just from hindsight of this game looking back?
I knew it. Like, you can see from my vision.
So let's take a look.
I did a Widowmine harass while he was pushing into his triangle base, and I saw no gases there. I also didn't see any gases at his 4th base, so I can pretty much assume. And I can also assume from his army comp that is like 90% Zealots. That he doesn't have gases. Widowmines are actually really, really good against his style. Even if he's going Colossus, Widowmines are really good because besides the Colossus, the rest of his army is just pure charge loads.
Now, what could the Protoss have done? Let's do a little bit hypothetical. And Haas ended up going over gas after that last battle. What would be your biggest worry a Protoss might do?
If he starts spamming a lot of static defense, because he has the mineral income. So, like, let's say that at this base that I'm attacking now, there would have been maybe 3 cannons, shoot battery, and then at his base in the bottom right corner, also had shoot batteries and cannons. Then I really wouldn't be able to do much, even if I caught him out of position. So I think that would be the scariest. And then after that, probably just start taking your gases in all your bases, make Archons, increase your disruptor count.
That was game one. That was one of those games. Overall feelings of how that went for you.
Started off pretty shaky for me. Definitely made a lot of mistakes after doing so much damage after my harass. But afterwards, I think I did pretty well. I made all the right decisions and I executed it pretty well to come back.
This next game is you versus Creator. You're going up against Creator on Tropical Sacrifice. Even before thinking about Tropical Sacrifice TVP, initial thoughts.
If I had a third veto, it would probably be this map against Protoss, simply because it's really quite strong for Blink. That's it.
And so you versus Creator, did you have the same preparation like you did when you were going up against Haas? Did you watch any of his replays going into it?
No. Unfortunately, I think I didn't have the privilege of getting to watch Creator play a Terran in this tournament.
Yeah.
Whereas against Haas, I was literally watching him play against a Terran, waiting for him to finish so we can play.
Okay, so game plan. This is game 2. So you've already played him one game. And so now you're up against him game 2. If my memory serves, you actually did not. You lost that. Or did you win? Can't remember.
I think it might have been the 40-minute game in DDC.
Yeah, that was. Yes, that was game 1. Game 1. And
yeah.
This is game 2. I chose not to do that one.
Yeah, I mean, I just took it to late game and got completely destroyed.
That one was, he had death ball with carriers.
Yeah, he went like Carrier, Tempest, Disruptor.
Yeah, full on. Yeah. So after that
not
game,
much I could have done.
Yeah, it was a big of a slog. It was a bit of a slog game. I watched it through. And so going into this game, game 2, we talked about it being a gauntlet to do these games. I actually don't know I don't remember what time it was when you were doing this game. Are you exhausted? Like, you must have been pretty tired from that 40-minute game and then having to go into game 2 and then...
Yeah, I think I was pretty tired at this point. But I was soldiering on. And I think I just decided that I wouldn't take it to the late game anymore.
And so what's the plan to not take it to the late game? How are you going to try to close it out?
I don't remember, it was either 2 base all in or just be way more aggressive on 3 bases. One of the two.
All right, well, we're about to find out on Tropical Sacrifice. All right, so here in Tropical Sacrifice, you're up against Creator. You're down 1 game, not ideal. And...
Oh yeah, I wanted to do an NG block. As natural.
Yes. Why specifically engineering block? Walk me through maybe even just the reasonings. I don't think you did it last game.
No. So I saw in the last game he did a pretty late he sent his probe pretty late to the natural. So it's just an opening for you to block his natural.
Looking for shenanigans. Here you're coming across with the Reaper. Core things you're looking for.
Well, first I went to see his access timing, and I saw his first unit, which was Adept. And now the only thing that's left is for me to see his tech. I think I can see that just by jumping up the cliff.
What are you not hoping to see?
Stargate would be pretty annoying, but even so, I think it will be okay. Stargate is just annoying when you make more than 1 Widow Mine, because then your Cyclone is late and you can't really pressure him.
What's going through the process now?
I think I saw Twilight, and then now I see the Dark Shrine, which is super, super big. Now I know exactly what he's doing. If I hadn't seen the Dark Shrine, it might have been tricky. I still would have gone Raven anyways, because that at the time that was my usual follow-up with this build. But now knowing it for sure helps even more, because I know I can be extra aggressive with this medevac.
Yes. Oh, you just barely saw the Dark Shrine just before the Reaper got killed. Actually, that was really good.
I think he did see the medevac, but I'm not sure if he noticed. Because if he doesn't see the medevac, then all he has to deal with the drop is 1 Adept and 1 round of warp in from a single gateway.
So he does see the medevac. Yep, just barely with the Adept. He gets a vision of it. So wait, what were you saying that he has to deal with?
Well, now he has to deal with the drop.
Yep.
With like no units. You can see he's chronoing 1 gateway. That's all he has. And I think this DT ends up being pretty clutch against this drop. I don't remember exactly.
Nope. DT got killed.
Actually, him killing 1 Marine was pretty big. Because if I had 6 Marines,
you would have done a lot more.
Yeah, it would have been a lot harder. And now I have a Raven, you know, his War Prism can't do anything. So in general, very good start for me. Now all I have to do is gear up for my 2-base push.
So now that you're feeling pretty, at this point, feeling pretty confident, and so in your mind, what are the things that you need to watch out for? Because you, right now, I think you got a decent amount of damage. You fended him off. What are you kind of feeling for?
So I think right now I'm expecting him to I had expected him to take a much faster 3rd base. Instead he opted to get his 4 gases earlier.
Did you see that? Oh no, you didn't see it. You
No.
were expecting him to, but he did end up doing that. Yeah.
Literally the ball is on his court right now. All I have to do is just chill
wait.
until my stim is done.
Yeah.
I think missing the War Prism was a bit annoying because I ended up having not enough to deal with these Archons. Like I lost way too many Marines. This was really, really bad for me.
Now you missed that War Prism. Was that just lack of vision, lack of where, like, what? How does it?
I was hunting for it with the Cyclone. I probably should have just left it in my main.
Oh, this Cyclone here. Yeah. This Cyclone was looking for it. I see. Were you specifically expecting the drop, or were you just looking for anything that could look that?
I was looking for the Prism.
You knew the Prism was coming. Got it.
Yeah. People will always follow up DT drop with Archon drop.
Okay, so now you took a bit of damage. Game plan.
I still decide to do the push anyways, even though I'm like 8 Marines short than what I should have had.
Yep. Why though? Why did you decide to do the push anyways? Is it just because you were?
Well, if I need to trade efficiently, right? Because
Yeah.
my eco is worse. In hindsight, might have been better to do like a drop and try
Yeah.
to catch him off guard. But I don't know where his observers are. I have a Raven with my main army, but like an observer might spot my drop somewhere along the path to his main.
See,
And I
where
was
are his
afraid of Blink.
observers? Where are his observers actually?
He doesn't have any.
He doesn't have
He made
any.
Immortals instead. Yeah.
Ah,
But
got
I
it.
don't know this, of course.
You don't know. Of course, obviously you don't know. It would have changed the whole thing.
I do have a Raven, which with the Seeker missile is actually pretty good.
You get a little juicy Seeker missile shot on
But
it.
like, I wanted to do a cost-efficient trade, and I ended up having a terrible trade.
Yeah.
That was really bad.
You pushed in. I wanted to actually. So you because here you got the Cheeto cannon, and then you pressed in, but he pushed into the shield battery.
Shield barrier overcharge. Oh, I wanted to kill
overcharged.
an Immortal and back off, but he with the double force field, he actually trapped a lot of my units in, which was really bad for me.
Yeah.
This was really good for him. Now I'm playing from behind. I recognize that.
You recognize this at this point. You just you're reflecting on it now. Even then, you were like, yeah, I'm from behind, and I need to.
Yeah, at this point, all I can do is defend.
Yeah.
And hope I survive somehow. I think I scanned to see what his if he was taking
Yep, you did.
or what his army was, his army composition.
So what information did you get? Because all you saw was Archon, War Prism, and a few Zealots.
Yeah, I didn't think it was Storm. It definitely had to be Colossus, but at this point, the only thing I can really do is just try to make as many units as possible. There's not really much variation here. It's not like I can make a second starport. I don't think I could have afforded that just yet.
You know, because you're on the back
Without-
foot now. So now you got to
Yeah.
hold off, hold him down, just try to keep surviving and hoping he's going to mess up somewhere in an attack. So it's
Yeah,
really...
I'm just taking map control, clearing pylons on the map, trying to catch a
So she'll go a little bit forward.
stray unit here and there.
But now you're pressing forward though. Here, what made you feel at this point you're at a little bit, or are you just gonna Hail Mary to make sure he doesn't get any additional bases?
Yeah, I just
back
wanted
out?
to trade off my Widow Mines before his charge was done. So you can see whenever I don't have Widow Mines in my army, I just back off.
Yeah.
Because Widow Mines, they trade exceptionally well in small quantities. In big quantities, they kind of they shoot a bit everywhere. So they're not that great.
So now you're holding map control. We talked a bit earlier. Actually, go back a little bit before we get into this fight. Tropical Sacrifice for TVP. Was it the blinks you just don't like about it on this? Especially now that we're looking at it in reflection. What else in Tropical Sacrifice is really good for Protoss in this situation specifically?
I think it's relatively easy to defend bases on Tropical Sacrifice. Like with 4 bases, you have this chokehold at his 4th, pretty easy to defend. And also, it's pretty easy to maintain vision to protect your main. In general, it's just a pretty good defensive map for Protoss at this stage. And what I was referring to about the blink is like 3-gate blink, 4-gate blink is particularly strong. That's because you can blink from under the main into either the natural or the main. Like you can choose where you want to blink.
A lot of variation for their blink style. Got it. A lot of options.
Yeah. And I think at this point, I can probably win a straight up fight if he decides to fight me out of the shield batteries. But he's really careful not to do that.
Yeah, you'd have to bait him out. You even have the Widow Mine hoping you're gonna get it. Oh, is this Widow Mine gonna get a shot? Oh.
Yeah, at this point, I was just focusing on defending the War Prism that was in my main, which I cleared up. I think right now the correct move would probably be to split my army, maybe send like half of it down there, half of it to the north.
Because you mentioned in the previous game split pushing against army full of Colossus. Actually, how many Colossus does he have? Three Colossus.
3, yeah. It's definitely not the Colossus that I'm scared of anymore.
No.
Now it's the Disruptors.
Yeah, the Disruptors came in and changed up the nature of it. But he's. Oh, never mind. If I was going to engage with 3 by themselves.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that he decided to do this. I honestly didn't expect it.
For him to like, he wanted an attack. Actually, let's step back a little bit. So that's one maybe.
Yeah, because if he decides to base raid, it's usually going to be with all his army. But instead, he did it with like everything except the Colossus.
Yeah, he left 3 Colossus here.
And I've never seen anyone do this before, but it's actually a pretty good move.
Why is that? Like, why was it a pretty good move?
Because if he had gone with everything, then I would be able to kill him, right?
Yeah.
But because he left the Colossus behind and like a handful of sentries, then he can just defend anything with shield batteries.
And you do get a few EMP, but it's, you're right. He did end up, it slowed you down a bit, held you a bit.
Yeah, he slowed me down a lot even. The only reason I was able to get this kill was because I went out of his vision. So he got caught out of position. And right now, I think I stayed a bit too long. I should have retreated a long time ago because I know that he has half his army on somewhere else.
You mean retreat back to the base and not down to? Oh wait, actually, you didn't know about that base down there, or did you?
Yeah. About that base? No, I still don't know. I should have suspected it, but
yeah, you didn't.
That was foolish of me.
Now coming into this, was it good to have attacked, or should you have gone right back? Even at this point?
I probably should have gone back, but I mean, at this point, my eco is so bad.
Yeah, I might as well try for it.
Yeah, but I probably should have regrouped with the rest of my army before deciding to try and trade. So now I still have an army advantage, but it's not as big as it was before. But the only thing I have in my advantage right now is
right there.
lib range.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you have really good lib setup right there.
Until he comes from behind.
Yeah, until he came from behind.
Yeah, this is why I really don't like playing libs. I was just doing it as kind of a Hail Mary sort of thing. But yeah, I really don't like playing with libs usually. On paper, they're the counter to whatever, to Colossus Disruptors.
Yeah.
But in practice, this is what always ends up happening. They just sandwich you all the time.
Is that sort of like a personal preference, or have you found that other Terrans have found more success than you personally, or just in general?
I think the Korean Terrans sometimes do pretty okay with range libs, but it can go both ways. It's not like foolproof either.
Yeah. Because just one caught out of position and send everything out. It was like what we saw there. You had a really good set. You had a really good setup, but then, I guess based on how the map is laid out, wasn't that unfathomable that he would come.
I don't think there are any maps in the pool right now that is just one frontal position where you go and you put a bunch of circles on the guy's base and he's like, well, I guess all I'm gonna do is run under these circles. It's like every single map there's some way for them to maneuver around and pick off libs here and there. And this is all assuming that that you're gonna be able to reach his base without his knowing, right?
Yeah.
And most of the times they're either gonna have map vision or they're gonna have map control with their army. Every shot with their stalkers is one lib dead. So you gotta be really careful with your lib count. Like right now I have 4 libs, which is not enough. So he can probably just fight under the circles if he wants to.
What's the optimum amount?
I think 8 plus. 8 is like the critical number that you need to wipe him out. And also you need +2 ship weapons, which I don't have. I messed that up. Well, I was kind of broke, but yeah, you need
Yeah,
+2 ship weapons. Super important.
No, you're actually not holding. It's not too bad. The disruptors are pushing you back, but and then
Yeah, like I think this was a really good position for me. This is probably the best fight I could have hoped for, I think.
yeah, this felt like a really solid fight.
But the eco is just like I don't have the money to take even 60-40 trades with it. You know, I needed like a 90-10 fight. Yeah.
So now you're gone straight for the base. You know your eco is a little bit weaker, so now you're going to try to force him into a bad fight.
Yeah, I mean, like if he fights under the circles, I can win this. But
He knows better, and you know he knows better, or maybe.
yeah, I mean, I can get a base here. Like what I could try is zoom drop into the main, but the thing that worries me is that my bio is so small
Yeah,
that literally all I have is mostly just
libs.
libs and a handful of red Vikings. I think that probably would have been the play. Try and drop into the main. Super risky, but I think besides that, not much else I could have done. So yeah, in hindsight, I probably should have dropped into the main. Libs are actually very good if you drop into their main because their buildings serve, they work against them, right?
Yeah, it adds as that extra bit of blockage.
Yeah, and stalkers are pretty chunky, so if they try to blink under your libs and there's like 15 gateways in front, then it's gonna mess up.
Yeah, it's gonna screw them up. So at this point, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty dead at this
Yeah,
point.
you're pretty dead at this point. So it goes on for a bit, and so we'll actually bounce out. And so, reflection on that game. How would you overall thoughts? Give like a summary of your overall thoughts of how that went, and then what could have gone a little differently.
I think, in summary,
Yeah.
it started off really well, scouting the Dark Shrine and killing 4 probes with the drop. What really messed me up was being out of position with the Cyclone for the War Prism drop. So I ended up losing 9 Marines for free. Because of that, my push ended up being a lot weaker than it should have. So I just played the whole game from behind. And even while playing from behind, I think I was a bit too afraid to take risks, like trying drops, doom drops, and splitting my army a bit more. Things that normally backfire, but in this case, I kind of needed something, right?
You needed, especially since you were playing from such a back foot position, you needed something that was going to be a little bit more 9 to 10 in many ways.
Yeah, I was kind of playing like if I was playing against someone much worse than me, but I wasn't. I was playing against Creator.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm far from a pro player, but when you're in like that moment, that heat of the moment when you're playing that, is that nerves? Is that fatigue? What gets you? Because you obviously now thinking about it in reflection, you're like, oh, I should have done that. But like when you're in that moment and you're making those kind of harder decisions, what goes back to keeping you from making those kind of more riskier plays?
I think it's a combination of factors, right? There's a little bit of fatigue, there's a little bit of stress, and there's probably, and mostly I think it's the fact that you don't have the thinking power while you're playing than you do when you're out of the game.
Yeah. I think
because when you're pressing like 300 buttons a minute, your mind is a bit occupied. It doesn't have all of its brain power available to make the decisions that you need. So you need to work with, I don't know, maybe 10% or 20% of your brain power your thinking power than you normally do. And because of that, sometimes you just end up not missing things.
Is that something that pro players can improve? Like, or is that just the name of the game? Like, do some, like, obviously that's maybe the minutiae of how players, some are better than the others, but this is more of a general question from the idea of improving that capacity to deal with creating space for those higher level decisions, even though you're pushing 300 buttons. Is that an improvable thing?
Honestly, I like to think so, but I feel like it's one of those things that it will take resources to research and study. Like, for example, in sports, You have like a plethora of studies and research on what is actually optimal for sports athletes. You practice a certain way, you rest a certain way, and you think a certain way, and you're going to be a better athlete.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, but there's not much for esports. Like even in chess, the most used, the most popular competition, right, is with the long timer. It's not like blitz chess. It's extremely popular for competition. And let's say blitz chess was the optimal competition, there probably wouldn't be many studies around it to think, okay, like maybe the player should think this way and they should allocate this much thinking to this. It's like, it's hard to say, right? And then I think everyone just ends up doing what they feel most comfortable with, and I think that's the way that works for now.
So
everything comes up.
So if I just understand it, because sports are actually a lot older and more developed, there is a lot more research of like how to mentally be in the right space. And there's like an acceptable dogma or like path for that, while maybe for esports, StarCraft in particular, it's not so developed, so everyone's kind of doing whatever they want, and then you just got a lot of varied results. Is that kind of, I understood?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always fascinated by that kind of stuff, and how that, even at the highest levels, where players' minds go and how do they maintain maybe space, or is it just a frantic amount of inputs, sensory overload, plus obviously the stress, plus the tired fatigue, plus this crowds, the pressure, all of, especially in a live game too, all of those combined. How does one sort of focus it out? So that's always something that it's very intangible and interesting to see how it's measured. All right, so this is your last game, or last game for us to go over. And this is you versus Nightmare, Game 3, Data C. Now, if I remember correctly, you've actually might be 1-1 at this point, or you may already be leading. No, it's 1-1. It's actually 1-1, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think so. I don't really remember what happened this game, but...
Well, we'll quickly refresh it. So this is 1-1. You're already 1-1, and I don't remember the games prior, but this is Data C again. I asked you about Tropical Sacrifice, but D2C TVP feelings.
It tends to be quite personal. Every player has different feelings about it. I'd say most Protosses I encountered, they don't exactly like it, but it's the map that's 50-50 enough that it ends up never being vetoed in a best of 3. Like, usually Protoss players will veto other 2 maps, like Waterfall and Moondance or something like that. And Terran players will probably never veto Data C against Protoss. So
it's
honestly,
pop up.
Yeah, it's pretty 50-50, I would say. It's just the only thing that it has that's really good for Terran, I think, is that it's very good for drops. That's the main thing.
There's something you end up doing here that I really am excited to point out, and I thought it was fascinating. We'll wait till we speed up a little bit. But so what's your if you're remembering right now, what's sort of your thoughts against a Nightmare coming into this? It's 1-1.
1-1, so I did my cookie cutter build, which is 2 gas before CC, go run Repo Reactor, and then from here I just kind of go into the 6 Marine, 1 Widow Mine drop. That one's like super solid. You get a scout, sometimes I get damage. Most of the times I'd say I get damage.
So I love this part. How often do you get this trick? Because you're about to drop the mine and bounce over the wall. And so...
This map, probably 95% of the time.
95% of the time?
Yeah, because the way that the Reaper wall works on this map, like you can only wall it off this way, so you should always be able to jump over.
Bounce over.
Yeah, it's really quite easy. You can get it 100% of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody, 100% of the time.
Yeah, you only really have to do that if their tech building is not in range of the thing. Because you just want to check his tech, and if you go through the front, you're not gonna be able to make it.
Right. So you got, what did you get in terms, let's see, in information? You got everything.
So
You
I
got to see everything.
saw.
Twilight
Yeah, I
Council.
saw his Twilight, and I think it was researching when I jumped over, so
You knew.
pretty safe assumption that it's Blink.
Blink, yep.
And right now, your magic timer for Blink is about 4:30. You want to be out of his base. Until 4:30 is done, then until you reach 4:30, then you're clear to do some damage. So 5 probes is actually pretty good for me.
You feel like you got a decent amount before Blink arrived? So
Yeah.
Okay, so the game plan now, though. Actually, did you see the? You know, you don't know the Robo. You didn't see the Robo at the time. I don't think. No. Okay, it wasn't. So you're probably feeling fairly decently comfortable. I actually don't remember what the last game was in terms of whether or not you'd lost or won, but I feel like you won game 1 and then maybe lost game 2, if I remember.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. The next step in this case is just use the Raven to check if he has a third base.
Which you saw he didn't.
Yeah, and if he doesn't have a third base, then you don't really need to do anything.
If he did have a third base, what
drop a
would you have
turret?
done?
Yeah. If he did have a third base, I would probably finish my stim, and either try to like double drop in the main, or do a frontal push, big frontal push. It also changes the way how you want to defend, right? So let's say, for example, he's doing a 3-gate or 4-gate blink all in. Then obviously I would start a bunker in my natural. And the reason I didn't is because I saw he has that gas at his natural.
Oh yeah. Okay.
If it's a blink all in, then it's usually only 2 or 3 2 gas. Yeah.
So so now that you know he's going blink all in, what's your current setup? Oh, I just realized.
So I think now I see the third base.
Yep.
I don't think I see the Robo Bay, but it's a pretty safe assumption. They don't have a third, and they're not aligning you. Then it's 100% Colossus after Blink. So now I know it's Colossus, and I think if I was playing the series today, I probably would have kept making tanks and just kind of try to push with 3 tanks, which is the critical number you need to push through to shoot through a shield battery overcharge.
Oh, okay.
With 3 tanks, you can actually kill Colossus through the overcharge.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
See, this is why we're having this show, because that's the expert Terran knowledge that I would not know. Because there was no way I would know that. But you didn't go with tanks. You didn't push for the tanks. Why? What are we looking at in terms of composition right now? Just MMM?
Yeah, usually if they play fast Colossus like that, unless you have a lot of tanks, you're generally not gonna win a frontal push. So I just wanted to try something like this, like a drop, get some damage done, which ended up being great for me. If you don't get spotted along the way, like a drop like this has a lot of potential.
You didn't bring any Widow Mines with you, or was it? Did I miss that?
I didn't have Widow Mines yet.
You weren't ready. Okay.
I made tanks first. And right here, I think I wanted to do like some kind of multi-prong push. But tanks are not really good in small army counts like this, right? You need something to support them. A lot of bio.
Which you've done in the split.
Yeah. So now with the split, I'm just trying to find openings. Honestly, if I don't do anything, I just win the game as well.
Why is that? Is that because
his eco is really bad?
Okay.
Only a Protoss wants to be like 5-10 workers at least ahead of the Terran.
And he is sitting. Oh yeah, he's less than you.
Yeah,
55.
because you have mules, so it's your work account plus like 8 if you count the mules.
So now, oh, you're
That-
getting. Actually, I'm gonna pause right here.
Yeah.
'Cause this is something I wanted to kind of. So here you are. You got Colossi on the high ground. You on the low ground.
Mhm.
Retreat. Stay.
Stay. I think my position is really good. I have Widow Mines. I have 2 tanks. He doesn't have a 4th base, so all I can do here really is kill the Reaper wall for free. So I think my game plan will be kill the Reaper wall for free, and just back off until ghosts are out or something.
Legit. Let's
Yeah.
see what happens. Yep. And you do get it for free.
Yeah, there's no way he can break this position just yet.
What would the Protoss need to, if is it just a better econ? Like his econ is obviously very weak, and that's obviously where he's
Yeah.
now. Is that?
Well, he
it's
needs
just-
at least charge to be able to win a fight, and I canceled that right with the drop.
Yes.
I saw it was researching, so I know that he doesn't have charge. I even scan. I see, oh, charge is not done. Okay, let's go.
You just came right in. You left the tanks in, and you're just like, I'm going right
Yeah.
in.
But I think, in hindsight, I probably wouldn't do this job. It was very risky, but it turned out pretty okay.
Actually, we might just looking again because you did. You left the Widow Mines, you left the tanks,
Yeah.
and you just went right in. What could have
Yeah.
gone wrong in that? Like if his army was positioned, what everything up
So, like, I think worst case scenario will be I don't kill the Colossus in his main, because that was already pretty close. And then he ends up cleaning up the bio in my drop, and then I lose my supply advantage. But at this point, I'm just playing for Reddits, like Reddit points, dropping in the thirds, turret in a natural, doom drop in a main, like I did a 3-prong harass, 3-prong attack.
there. Oh, did you just do a little bit of skip back? Because I want to see the. Oh yeah, so you got the.
Yeah. So I'm
Your
basically
turn.
attacking every single base right now. Yeah. So I was collecting my Reddit karma.
I think you got it. I think you got all the up points, all the upvotes.
And
But
at this
you
point, I actually did lose a lot of SCVs because I was doing all those things at once. I didn't defend very well against his 4 zealot run by.
Right.
So I actually ended up losing my eco advantage in the long term.
Was that
Yeah.
sort of in your mind why you wouldn't have done that again because of the possibility of the run by, or is it if you just managed not only defending while doing the three-pronged attack, it was still.
I mean, yeah, if I had defended while doing all of this, it would have been really cool, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I would have amplified my advantage like tenfold. But I'm only human, right? So there's only so many actions I can do at a time, and if I'm already ahead, I don't really need to get more ahead, right? I just need to
Yeah.
maintain my advantage and gear up for a strong push.
Now, aside from a really bad really bad engagement, what could the Protoss do to kind of take this game back from you?
I think it just needs really good disruptor shots at this point.
Yeah.
It's really the only way. And if he can somehow get his 4th base up with like a couple shield batteries and a cannon up there, then it might be a defendable position. But at this point, all you want to do really is just chrono out disruptors nonstop and hope that
You
the
get like
Terran
a
will eat one. Yeah,
eat one to the face. Got it.
yeah. I mean, even his upgrades are really bad, right? There's not much going in his favor.
Are you split pushing? You are splitting a bit.
Yeah.
For
So
a
right
drop.
right now, like he's just sitting under shield batteries. So I kind of want to split his army a little bit. Disruptors are really good in balls only, pun intended. The only scary thing about split pushing like this is that you can, while you're not looking, you might take a ball to the face.
Yeah, you.
Like
I think
if he came up to my drop there and threw a ball and I wasn't looking.
I think you
I
almost.
think I do eat one, right?
No, I think you actually picked up. Actually, let's see. I think.
Oh yeah,
you
this
actually-
one I clutched it, no problem.
Yeah,
Easy
this one.
peasy.
Yeah, this one you 4 balls came. You picked up. No problem there.
Yeah, because I think I scanned and I saw I didn't even scan. I just saw disruptors.
You just
and
came
I'm
in,
like,
yeah.
okay, let's go.
Look at this. Yep, yeah, you got it easy peasy.
So yeah, that was nice. And if you're split pushing like this, you basically just keep reinforcing one side at a time and then you keep trying to force openings or force openings into his defense.
Until essentially until one side takes it over the other.
Yeah. Exactly.
So here you go. You're pretty. You got to. Oh, I think you did eat one.
Yeah,
right there.
that was a big one. Not sure why I ate that. Put all my vision. I thought maybe I thought I could kill it, but then the overcharge. Okay, I was macroing. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
You were elsewhere. Yeah. Then you just ate a big one there. But you have.
It's basically Protoss comeback 101, right? You just sit on their batteries and keep shooting disruptors, and eventually the supply count will even up.
So at this point, the best for Protoss is to try to get that disruptor shot. That's what he's aiming for.
Yeah, until you max out, and then you can either push across the map, or you just you try to take a fifth base. Those are usually your two options.
But now you're. Oh, I thought you were about to go for the main, but you saw the stalkers waiting for you. Opt to go back to the third.
Yeah, it would have been really reckless if I dropped into that. And then right now I just go into lib range, which is natural counter to mass robo units.
Now you mentioned earlier though you're not a big fan of sometimes libs in general, even though it is like a textbook.
Yeah, ideally you want to try and break the guy before that. But I was really trying and I just couldn't.
Yeah.
So I had to transition out. One thing you could try, if you really don't want to play libs, is you could try to go into BCs.
Oh, okay.
BCs are pretty good if you have an eco advantage. But I think like I have enough map control and Nightmare. I think I'm at this point I'm probably a bit better than Nightmare, so I'm not too worried about throwing my advantage with libs. Because all I have to do is just play a bit better than him, you know.
And make sure you don't eat any balls to the face. Get a good positioning, and for the most part, it should be good.
Yeah, exactly.
This is actually it's interesting thinking about how you mentioned earlier when you were playing Creator, like, ooh, just took a little bit of ball there, one there. Where you're
I
playing
underestimated the range.
When you were playing Creator, like he was someone who was worse than you, or not as good as you, and
yeah,
the idea
like
the same strategy here.
This is the same way I played against Creator, basically.
Exactly.
Just a bit more splitting, and I think, this is usually how the games go if I'm playing against someone more similar to my level.
You took a lot of disruptor shots coming into that one, but overall you still have such a strong hold on it. I think your econ is obviously way better.
For sure. I think at this point it's really difficult for me. It will be really difficult for me to lose this game. Even if I eat all of his disruptor shots, I still have my libs. Which granted is not many, but still.
What is it? How many libs are you at? 4? Oh no, 7. So you have 7. Almost at the magic number. So it's good enough.
And I have +2 ship weapons this time.
Ah, the clincher. Oh, what are we looking? Oh, how many more? You just built a whole bunch more. Okay, you're at 9. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a game. Okay, so that was 3 games of TVP. Thoughts? Like we learned, I think there's a split push seems to be a lot part of your style in that scenario. We saw it definitely twice. Libs being a big part, but tanks and BCs maybe a good variant. That's my summary thoughts, but like obviously correct me. What is the quintessential takeaway from a lot of this?
Yeah, I think the most to follow the theme of the episode, right, which is Colossus, and I think we can even add disruptors into that. Just Robo units in general, they're strong in unity, right? So they really you need to have them in a ball for them to be the most effective. You as a Protoss player would probably know this as well, that if you try and put like one Colossus here and two Colossus there, like the one Colossus isn't going to kill anything, the two Colossus isn't going to kill anything. So you really need to have them together. And disruptors as well, you want the critical number so that you can shoot them nonstop until the cooldown is basically infinite. You can shoot one always. And the premise of splitting your army is that you can, you weaken that. You go for their weakness. And the thing is, usually it's very difficult to break a Protoss just with splitting. So you need a follow-up. And for me, in this case, they're Liberators. +2 ship weapons on your Liberators. Once that is out, then you can end your split push and just go for one big army attack. And if you get him in a good position, then you should be able to destroy him. And the alternative to that, like I said, instead of going libs, you could try BCs. I was trying that style for a bit, but it's not super tested. Don't take my word for it. And lastly, if you don't want to split push, if you think that this is way too difficult, you don't really have the multitask or the speed to control 2 places at once all the time, then you can just play tank style. And basically you just make tanks one at a time the whole game out of your factory. You never transition into Widow Mines. And what that does for you is once you get to a certain tank count, you can basically one-shot Colossus and you can one-shot Disruptors. Like, Robo units are not going to do anything against tanks. Just keep in mind that they need to be sieged. So if you're pushing across the map and he catches you off guard, then he's going to destroy you. Yeah.
Well, what was the magic number for tanks? Was it 4?
It depends. You want to one shot a Colossus?
Yes. One shot a Colossus is 2, or is it 3 for one shot?
No, you need like 6, I think.
6? Okay.
Yeah, because the Colossus has 350. A tank does 55 to armored in siege modes, I believe, something like that.
So the magic number 6 tanks, and so I feel like, and I'm gonna actually end up renaming this episode. Originally, I started with the
so it's 70 damage against armored for tanks. So
we're gonna do math.
6.
We're gonna do the math.
6 quick math. 6 tanks. You should be able to one shot a Colossus.
Legit. And so that's the magic number you want if you want to take out. Now, is that to push through a battery? What do you need to push through if there's... You mentioned earlier.
So the 3 number was, if you're doing like a fast push on a 2 base timing, 3 tanks is a very reasonable number to get, right? You can have 3 tanks by the time your stim finishes. And what that does for you is that Colossus has only 150 shields. So 2 tanks do 140 damage per shot, so the shield battery will just heal through it, right?
Yeah.
Each time it gets a shot. But if there's 3 tanks, that's 210 damage against 150 shields, so you do 60 hull damage every time you shoot. So with 3 tanks, you can actually do hull damage against Colossus. So that's why it's a magic number.
See? This is why we have our guest here, because where would these wisdoms of knowledge drop from? One thing I wanted to... I'm probably actually end up dropping... I'm actually going to rename our episode, because originally it started off with Colossus, but you brought up an idea of this is actually really good against Robo, the whole Robo suite, Colossus and Disruptors. So...
And Immortals.
And Immortals. But
tanks are great against Immortals.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't see a lot of Immortals in our games, but is that more something, where would you see... Like, we did see, I think, in Creator's game, there was a bit of Immortals.
Yeah, he made 2 Immortals. Usually they'll make like a handful of Immortals before they go into Colossus, especially if they are afraid of like a fast push. So tanks are really good against that. And also, if they're playing mass gateway units, they might opt to stay on Immortals for a bit longer before they go into Disruptors or Colossus.
And for either of those scenarios, do you feel like what we just talked about still works for it, easy peasy? Or how would you...
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Tanks are they're incredible against armored units. The only issue is that they get shredded by charge lots and Archons.
So as long as the Terran is able to manage that, Widow Mines, we brought up Widow Mines being really good against charge lots, and then also good positioning in the map. Even on D2C, we showed that you were able to hide in that little pocket, really handling charge lots in the defense.
Yep.
So as long as you're able to
Indeed.
manage those, A-okay. All right, so that's our episode. Kelazor, what's new on your horizon? What do you have on your plans? Where can people find you? What are you doing?
I'm streaming from time to time on twitch.tv/Kelazor. And if you want to see what I'm saying, hear what I'm saying, I also tweet sometimes at twitter.com/Kelazor. And I think those are the two main avenues if people want to see more of me.
Absolutely. And both those things will be, if you're watching it on YouTube, it'll be in the description. Follow Kelazor, cheer him. And since no tournaments announced yet, but what are you looking for in 2023? StarCraft 2023 to finish us off.
I would love another circuit, of course.
Yeah.
I want to play more tournaments, go to more offline events, especially. I hope we have some nice ones. I imagine that's probably going to be in DreamHack. And yeah, if there's even more announcements other than that, then I'll be more than happy.
And the last thing before we get you to go, PTR, how do you feel? Yay, nay, changes? What's your general thought?
I think I only played TVP on PTR. I played like 10 TVPs on it. And Ravens. I'd say in somehow incorporate Ravens in every opener. And they feel pretty good. They build so fast, and the 50 gas discounts actually feels pretty nice. Overall, it's a weaker unit, but now it actually feels like you can incorporate it in any opening as a follow-up. So yeah, make a medevac and then make a Raven, and you'll be happy.
The return of the Ravens. All right, everybody, that is our show. Thank you so much. I'm always open to looking for feedback, different topics. Leave us a comment so we know which pro you want us to talk to next. What kind of matchup do you want us to explore? Once again, Kelazor, thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure.